What's going on, everybody? It's Roarwise, and welcome back to another episode of Sleeper Sunday. So Sleeper Sunday, for those of you that don't know, is a series I came up with showcasing fun hidden decks you may not know about that can deal quite a bit of damage in the proper hands. We'll be going over a basic deck list, strengths, weaknesses, what can be done to make the deck better, and of course a few replays to see the deck in action. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at aliens. So I know that Alien never really won a poll, and I kind of didn't do the poll for the last two Sleeper Sundays, being this one and the Armed Dragon ABC Ojama video. I will be getting back to the polls, as soon as this one is done. I promise you. I just kind of felt like doing this one because I already had the script ready, because I was going to do this as like a backup in case I couldn't do the last one, so please bear with me. I'm sorry that I didn't do a poll like I've been advertising, but we will be going back to the polled Sleeper Sundays every month from now on. Besides, Alien's kind of like a personal favorite deck of mine, and also one of my friends has been like dying to see the Sleeper Sunday for Alien, so we're going to be getting that out. But anyways, Alien is an archetype of various attribute reptile monsters that were released way back in Power of the Duelist in August of 2006, with various levels of support throughout the years, and the most recent wave being in Dawn of Majesty in 2021. The playstyle revolves around spreading A counters, which have a variety of different effects when placed on monsters, from stat modulation in battle to spot removal and even effect negation. Before we continue, shout out to Rada for actually getting me into this archetype and making me realize it existed. I think it was a Team APS video that I saw that like literally mentioned it once in a video, like a casual video, and so I looked up more stuff about it, and I found the very first archetype archive based on that, like a little bit after I came out, actually, now that I think about it, and that kind of got me hooked on Rada's content, which was awesome. So yeah, shout out to Rada for getting me into Aliens, and shout out to Aliens for getting me into Rada. But yeah, so as you can see from our list, this is kind of like a reptile good stuff deck that also takes advantage of the alien cards for a win condition that you'll see here in a minute in its newest wave of support. Starting off, we have quite possibly one of the best tuners in the game. We have Alien Ammonite that says when it's normal summoned, you can target a level 4 or lower alien monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but destroy it during the end phase. So this is really good, obviously, for getting access to your main synchro Cosmic Fortress Golgar, which still remains their only synchro monster to this day, as well as other level 5 and lower synchro monsters. Technically, if you felt like it, it could also be a 1-for-1 target if you really feel like you need the extra body on board, but considering it only triggers off a normal summon, I personally wouldn't go for it. Also, fun fact, this is one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh card artwork drawings I've ever made in one of my sketchbooks. I just can't find it right now. We also have just a singular copy of Alien Dog here. So Alien Dog is kind of a good card, but it also relies a bit too much on a normal summon, because it says when you normal summon an alien monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and when you do, mandatory attempt to place 2 A counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls. Granted, I don't believe that targets or anything, so that's pretty fire, but it really doesn't do too much going first, especially in terms of the A counters, because your opponent's not going to have any monsters. But it is a pretty nice extender, and I believe it also chain blocks the Ammonite, so that's pretty cool. Next up is the 2 copies of Alien Stealth Buster. Stealth Buster is actually one of the newest Alien cards. They got 2, I believe, in Dawn of Majesty. And it's actually really good for the archetype, because it says if it's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, and that includes Under King of the Feral Imp, by the way, you can target a face-up monster on the field and place 2 A counters on it. But it also says during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, unfortunately, because a lot of the alien cards that have graveyard effects have that restriction. It says you can banish it from grave, then target a card with an A counter and destroy it, and you can only use each effective Alien Stealth Buster once per turn. So yeah, not only is it some pretty nice removal and A counter setup that also chain blocks your Link 3 that we'll get up to in a few minutes here, but it's also good because it triggers from any time it's sent to the grave, from anywhere, and also because it's stat line. It's a pretty big 1700 by 1500, it's a level 4 light reptile. What more could you really want? Except for, you know, an actual extender, but it's fine, it's fine. We also have Alien Kid. So Alien Kid's a bit of an interesting one, because until people started like using the Planet Pollutant virus as the main way to spread A counters consistently, Alien Kid is kind of like the backup. It's also a level 4 light reptile alien that says place an A counter on all monsters special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, which is really crazy good, except that, you know, it doesn't work on their normal summon or anything, so that is kind of annoying. But it also is one of the only alien monsters that has the A counter battle stat modulation. So it's weird because it feels like this is something that they tried to like half bake into like a mechanic, like how Magic kind of does some of its stuff, like, you know, kind of like how you know, flying, something like that. It's kind of like A counters were supposed to do that by default, but that's not how Yu-Gi-Oh works. We don't have like key terms or anything like that, and so this is kind of like their only way they could do it. But not all of the aliens, even the older ones, have any of this like effect. Like, I think a good, at least maybe half of the older aliens have this, but some of them don't. I don't know, it's weird. Believe it or not, it does actually come up sometimes, especially because it stacks. So if they have multiple A counters, you know, that's 6, 9, 12. That's a lot of attack and defense modulation. And I believe if you have like a Cade and then like another kid or something like that, I think that also stacks for double. So that could actually be really good for battle. Except unfortunately it doesn't work for any of their boss monsters, because none of their boss monsters are actually alien monsters, but we'll just ignore that for now, I guess. Another alien that has the stat modulation that is technically a boss monster is Alien Overlord. This is one of your best extenders in the deck, because as you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to special this card from your hand, and it says once per turn you can place an A counter on every monster your opponent controls that's face up, and then it has the battle modulation, which works for itself. Unfortunately, you can only control one, so no funny Beatrice shenanigans for this deck, but this is again one of your better extenders in the archetype, because all you have to do is remove 2 A counters from anywhere, and it's an inherent summon, as well as being able to non-target, just put A counters on everything is really good, especially when we showcase the win condition here in a minute. He also has some kick-ass artwork. Look at that. Look at those like super cool spindly arms. He's got the lightning in the back. He's got like space rocks and shit. I love the alien artwork, guys. It's so cool. Of course, a reptile archetype isn't a reptile archetype without making use of the Ogdo Addict cards. So we have a pretty standard, you know, triple Nunu, 1 Noya, 1 Curse, and 1 Alert. I really miss their old names. And then we also have the 1 Ogdo Abyss for a little bit of help there for an extra board piece, because it is a really big monster and it can wipe an entire board if he feels like. I think Alien would probably not be too playable without these, especially trying to access its win condition, because the win condition is a Link 3 and an archetype that barely like manages to get out its own synchro monster. And so while I wouldn't say that the archetype is carried by the Ogdo Addicts, I mean, let's just say you can't really do any of your actual combos without access to the Ogdo Addicts. We also have the Night Sword Serpent, which might as well be an honorary Ogdo Addict, being able to special itself if it's sent to the grave by card effect. And then I'm also using 2 of the OCG only currently Black Mamba. We'll probably get this in like Battles of Legend, but this is a really cool reptile extender because it's simple enough. It just says if you control a reptile monster, you can inherit special this card from your hand. And you can only summon Black Mamba once per turn this way. On summon, you can target a monster your opponent controls, send a reptile from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, change the targeted monster's battle position. So while the battle position changing doesn't do like too much most of the time, especially because it doesn't work against links, it is really good for getting an extra reptile from your deck to the grave if you need to, especially when going second, which the archetype can struggle with a little bit. For another engine, I'm actually running a very small Therian engine, so I have 2 copies of Disc Coliseum, 1 copy of the reptile-type Therian Empress Alasia, and 1 copy of Therian King Regulus. So I noticed that the end boards were a little bit lackluster, especially if you couldn't get access to your win condition, so I decided might as well get a little bit of not only extension but also potential end board plays using the Therian package. Basically, all you do is you use your Therian stuff to access your Therian Empress Alasia or your King Regulus, because keep in mind, you can actually dump the Empress off of a lot of your card effects because it is a reptile, and then you can use your Disc Coliseum to add your Regulus, which can then equip the Empress from your graveyard. The Empress actually has a really good effect too, other than just being an extender in general for reptiles, because since you can discard a card to target a Therian monster card in your spell and trap zone and special summon it, and so you can literally use her to summon your Regulus, and then Regulus gains her effect. You can discard a card and then summon the Empress for free, giving you a large reptile-type body on board, which is really good for extending your plays, and your Regulus still keeps its negate. You probably won't be seeing any of the Therian package in the replays that I'm going to showcase today. I believe these replays are pretty old. Not too much of the deck has changed since then, but, like, you know, the heart's there with the Therian package. You'll know it comes up if it does come up if you try to test this deck out yourself. That's it for all the monster lineup and such, though. We also have 3 Snake Rain, because Snake Rain plus any normal summon or alien monster, including Overlord, is full combo, and it is one of the best starters in your deck. Keep in mind, it's not a once per turn, so if your opponent ashes, you can tell them to get fucked. We have 2 copies of the Ogdo Addict Water Lily, because not only is it part of your combo, but also opening one is fire, and having one for follow-up is even better. We also have 1 copy of Ogdo Addict's Serpent Strike, so this card is kind of experimental. I mean, it comes up sometimes. If you don't know what it does, it says you can send a monster from your hand or field to the grave and target a reptile in your grave with a different original attribute and special summon it, which works because you have a lot of lights and darks and a couple of earths and waters here and there. And then it also says during the main phase, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you can dump a reptile from your deck, which is pretty cool for like Ogdo Abyss. Essentially, I kind of just have it here as another good spell and trap target for Noya in case we draw one of our water lilies, because I don't want to just search another one, you know, because I don't think the Ogdo Addict spell and trap lineup is very good otherwise, because you got the field spell, which is kind of mediocre, like you're literally helping your opponent's deck. You have Ogdo Addict Calling, which just summons reptile tokens. I mean, I guess this is the reason why we got the stupid OTS tokens. And then Ogdo Addict Hollow is like, I mean, I'd like it better if it said instead of reviving one of your opponent's monsters by attributing a reptile, you could, like, send an opponent's monster from field to grave. I would totally play it then, but yeah, the Ogdoadic back row lineup is kind of terrible. Honestly, the Ogdoadic lineup overall is kind of mediocre. But onto some more alien-related spells and traps. We have 2 copies of A-Cell Recombination Device. So this was actually one of the, like, best support cards for alien that's also, like, literally watered down by the restriction I mentioned on Stealth Buster. It says, target a face-up monster on the field, send an alien monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, place A counters on that monster equal to the level of the sent monster. And it says, during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and add an alien monster from your deck to your hand. So this is a really good effect if you open something like Overlord or Ammonite, but it's really watered down by the fact that it can't be a 1-card combo into either of those cards because it says except the turn this card was sent to the grave. I should also mention this is, if you couldn't tell, this is one of their later support cards. It was the most recent, I believe, until they got their first Link monster. So yeah, it was like I think a good like 4-year difference between them getting this and their first Link, like their next wave of support after it, which was kind of crazy. But honestly, I would love if it just said you can banish it from grave that same turn and then add like an Ammonite or an Overlord, so you can either Overlord remove those A counters immediately and get a big body, or you could Ammonite, normal summon, and then special the thing that you dumped from your deck. I mean, I really don't think, even in its current state, that it would be broken at all. Because, like, the best thing you can do is, like, A-Cell, dump Stealth Buster, put 2 more A counters on something, and then normal, like, banish, add Ammonite, normal summon Ammonite, and then special the Buster to go into your Golgar. I think overall it would just be okay, but, I mean, I guess I can't really complain too much. It is a pretty good card overall, especially for follow-up. We also have just the 1 Mysterious Triangle. I did run this card at 2 and at 3, but I noticed that I kind of like didn't want to pop the things with A counters due to the win condition, kind of wanting them to stay on board. It says destroy a monster on the field with an A counter. I don't believe it targets. I can't tell if it's the wording or not, but it says then you can special summon a level 4 alien from your deck and destroy it during the end phase. Unfortunately, I do think this means that this card can get ashed and you don't get the pop, but it is pretty nice for getting something out. Like, so something you can do is you can use A-Cell. Like, say you don't get access to your win condition, right? Or you don't get access to the Planet Pollutant virus for your win condition. What you can do is you can A-Cell, dump literally anything, and then place A counters on an opponent's monster. Then you can Mysterious Triangle, pop with that monster, and then summon an alien kid from your deck. And then for that turn, every special summon monster your opponent controls will get an A counter, which is pretty fire. Like, it's a pretty decent combo overall, and it's just some pretty nice removal for the deck considering that it kind of struggles in that regard. Also, just one kind of like a Saki Kode Ancient Ruins. So this is a pretty cool card to draw sometimes, but I might end up cutting it. But it says each time a face-up alien monster is destroyed, place an A counter on this card, and it says once per turn you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to special an alien from your graveyard. So it's kind of there for like a little bit of extension, and it's also really good in combination with Golgar. I think that was the intent, but it is again kind of sacky, especially because your easiest way to get A counters on it specifically is when something's destroyed. Granted, you're mostly never going to use its A counters, you're going to use A counters that are placed on something else. But, you know, I still kind of like the card. We also just have 1 Foolish and 1 Called By because, you know, Foolish in a Reptile deck, and then Called By is Called By. We have 3 copies of Imperm because I wanted to have some sort of hand trap. I also cut the Ash. I think it was at like 43 cards. And then 1 copy of Planet Pollutant Virus, which is the main blowout card of your combo. This card is insane. It says tribute an alien monster, destroy all face-up monsters without A counters your opponent controls, and then until the end of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation, place an A counter on each monster they summon. So funnily enough, being a virus card and lasting like 3 turns is kind of just a funny coincidence there, but being able to technically get a board nuke if you feel like it, which I usually just like don't save it for then, I just use it immediately, but getting a potential board nuke and then putting an A counter on everything, and keep in mind this card is going to be in the graveyard. It's not like Swords of Revealing Light or anything. It's like the virus cards in that it's in the graveyard, so your opponent can't do anything about it after they start getting A counters on their stuff, and it works perfectly in tandem with your win condition, which I think was the entire point. And the only thing like weighing this card down is the fact that you have to tribute specifically an alien monster. So the reason why you have to specifically have Snake Ran and then any normal summon or any alien monster is because you need to have that tribute fodder for the Planet Pollutant virus for your combo to work. Otherwise, you just kind of have a random big body and nothing else. That's it for the main deck. Onto the extra deck, we have Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame. So this was their first Link monster and one of the first Legacy Support Link monsters, I believe, from the Vrains packs. It's a light reptile that points down left and down right. It requires 2 reptiles, which is good that you can use your Ogdoadics for it. And it says quick effect, you can discard a monster to place A counters equal to its original level on face-up monsters in the field, distributed as you wish. damage. And then if it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, you can special summon non-link reptiles with different names from your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls with A counters, and you can only use each effect of Alien Shock Trooper M-Frame once per turn. So this card's fine. I mean, honestly, the biggest benefit of it is the summoning condition being 2 reptiles. This is typically, like this or Stealth Buster from your combo is typically going to be the thing that you're tributing off the Planet Pollutant Virus because it's generic and easy to make. The A counter spreading, I guess, can come up if you don't have access to the virus for some reason. And then almost never will the like floating effect ever come up. Like it will literally almost like never do anything. If it does, it's probably just because, you know, you're trying to not die and you bricked really hard, so you passed on M-Frame. We also have 1 copy of Reptilian Echidna, so this is pretty cool for going second. It requires 2 monsters, including a reptile, so it's even more generic. And it says, on Link Summon, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and change its attack to 0, which is pretty cool for helping you OTK. But it also says, during your main phase, if your opponent controls a monster with 0 attack, you can add reptile monsters with different names from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters with 0 attack, and then you're locked into reptiles from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. But that almost never really like hurts you too bad. This really does only come up going second, like almost at any time. You're not playing like the Bish Balkan FTK or anything like that, which is pretty funny, let's be real. But it is just a nice target to have, especially because this also helps you get rid of a Nib token, because you can use the Nib token and any reptile to go into it. So finally, I keep hyping up this win condition. What is this win condition? Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Cosmic Slicer Zeral. This is their other piece of support out of Dawn of Majesty, and it is a huge Link 3 rep to like light reptile with 1 up pointing arrow and 2 down left down right arrows. It says it requires 2 or more reptile monsters, meaning it is nice and generic. And it says monsters your opponent controls with A counters are changed to defense position. Also, neither player can activate their effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Cosmic Slicer Zeral once per turn. If this card is Link Summoned, you can add 1 card from your deck to your hand that has an effect that places A counters. You can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a reptile monster. So this card, at the cost of being a Link 3 that's kind of hard for the archetype on its own to summon, kind of just does it all. So keep in mind, the way this is worded, it's like Baguska, except it doesn't have to have the monsters in defense for them to get their effects prevented to be activated. So you can literally shut down every single monster on the board, including Link monsters, but only for your opponent as long as it has any amount of A counters. The defense position thing is just a benefit so that you don't get this guy punched over. And to wrap up how amazing that effect is, you literally just search the Planet Pollutant Virus, and then you have any alien on board, and you kind of just have your entire board their entire board locked down for 3 turns. Considering how recursive the Ogdoadic archetype is, this is mainly like what you're going to go for, and then turn 3, I should say, you're going to be able to use your Ogdoadics to rebuild an entire board on top of this, preventing your opponent from doing anything with their monsters, and then you're going to be able to push for the OTK. Even if you're struggling a little bit getting that alien monster for tribute on board, you can actually use his 3rd effect by so typically for the combo, you're going to be using Stealth Buster, right? You're going to use your Water Lily to dump your Stealth Buster, use your Stealth Buster and your M-Frame to go for your Zeral, using your Chainlink 1 Zeral and your Chainlink 2 Stealth Buster to chain block your Zeral. And then you place the A counters on him, and if you have any reptile in hand that you can normal summon, you can actually just remove the 2 A counters from him to immediately normal summon it, which is one part of the reason why any normal summon also gets you the combo with Snake Rain, but also for other reasons as well. But it's a really good win condition that does kind of die to Imperm, but it is a really strong card nonetheless, and what you're going to be going for with all of your combos. For the Synchros, we have 1 Cosmic Fortress Golgar, so this is literally their only Synchro monster, which I'm super surprised they got a Link 2 and Link 3 before they got another Synchro 5 or even 7. It's kind of okay. It's really good going second, like, don't get me wrong. It requires Ammonite, so it's a bit specific, and then a non-tuner aliens. But it has a once per turn, you can select any number of face-up spells or traps on the board and bounce them, and then distribute new A counters among monsters on the field equal to the number of cards returned. I believe the spell and trap thing does target, but the A counter spreading doesn't, I don't think. And then it says once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to, in fact, target, destroy 1 card your opponent controls, The reason it doesn't say target is because of problem-solving card text. I think the Mysterious Triangle might target as well, but Golgar was made before PSCT, so it says, basically it's a targeting destruction, but it's 2 A counters to pop literally any card. And this does work really well with your Codename Ancient Ruins. It actually works with your Therian Disc Coliseum, which can get back your, get you more Therian cards later on. Like, if you only had the Empress before off the Disc Coliseum, now you can bounce this and then place it back on the board to get your Regulus. It also bounces your Ogdoadic Flood and other things like that. Of course, your opponent's stuff as well, so it's good with field spells and things. And say you're locked under Gozen or something, well, now you're no longer locked under Gozen. Golgar is actually a super strong card going second or on, like, turn 3. I do wish they got more of like a going first synchro monster as well, but only time will tell. We also have one High Speed Roid Chanbara, so High Speed Roid Chanbara is okay. I mean, this is kind of just here for a little bit of extra damage on board because it's permanent attack gain for like just swinging, and it also gets to swing again. And then that's kind of just it. Like, you really just have this here for going for OTKs and pushing for damage. I also have one Ravenous Crocodragon Archithes in here. So Ammonite is kind of like, I think your only tuner in the deck. Yeah, because you're not playing Ash Blossom anymore. You can't like Overlord Ash Blossom into this. But like, you can use one of your level 8 Ogdoadic monsters to go Ammonite and it into the Archithes just to get either another pop or like a draw or whatever. It's kind of just there, not gonna lie. We also have 2 King of the Feral Imps starting off into the Xyz. King of the Feral Imps helps turn bad hands into full combo. It's also just a really good card in general for follow-up, for getting on your end board. He's pretty large for a rank 4 as well, and not to mention he's completely generic. We also have one Dweller for an additional end board piece in case you really need it, especially because Tier exists. Tornado Dragon just for getting some problematic back row off the board, especially for face downs because Golgar only gets rid of face ups. And then we have a small Draglubion, Hope Harbinger, and Numeron Dragon package. Obviously, your Ogdoadics are here for this. Almost any deck playing Ogdoadics plays this package. Draglubion getting you access to a guaranteed OTK or a Spell Negate is pretty cool. And with that, we are wrapping up the extra deck. Just a quick shout out to some cards that didn't really make it onto this. Alien Mother is kind of just a Goyo Guardian, which is a bit specific, so that's probably like the main reason why we don't get it, especially because you have to tribute summon it almost every time. Alien Warrior is actually a card that I used to play as a level 4 target until Stealth Buster came out, because Stealth Buster kind of just power crept it because its floating kind of sucks. Alien Hunter is kind of just Chanbara, but worse. Alien Telepath is a MST on legs, which isn't awful, and it also has some pretty good stats. Alien Mars is kind of just what Zilral became. Literally says the effects of effect monsters with A counters on either field, granted, are negated except for Alien Mars. Alien Psychic is the exact same thing, except they cannot declare an attack. So basically, Zilral took Mars and Psychic and combine them together. Also, I love that Psychic looks like a Facehugger. That's such a cool reference. We also have some Reptilians. We have Reptilian Coatl, which is a free special summon that can also get you more Reptilians from hand if you have more. Nyamini is actually a really cool card in my opinion. It's watered down by the 1 effect per turn and only once that turn. Otherwise, it would have been an amazing extender for any reptile deck. Acell Scatterburst requires you to actually pop one of your monsters to distribute A counters, which would be nice for M-Frame if it had a level. And Brainwashing Beam and Mass Hypnosis both steal monsters that have A counters, Brainwashing Beam taking only 1 while Mass Hypnosis takes up to 3. Offering to the Snake Deity is an Icarus attack, so that's pretty simple. Honestly, I'm actually considering playing this over like Codename Ancient Ruins. Gamma will help protect your Snake Reins and allow you to go into level 8 plays like Omega. And then we have Shen Shen and Stellar Wind Wolf Raid for additional level 9 synchro options. You can also totally play Arclight if you want to get access to Dog and Ammonite being able to do more things. You probably have to play more Dog then. Like, I was playing 2 at one point, but Arclight is a really strong end board piece nonetheless. And that, guys, is going to do it for the list. So I've literally been working on this list for, like, I don't know, since Zilral came out. Like, I've played Alien before, but, like, I've literally been theory crafting this deck, like, every once in a while, just coming in to tweak it, do a few games with it, then jump back out, do a different deck. Like, this is kind of like one of my love children, I guess you could say, and I probably committed a lot more time than I should have into this deck, even considering just how mediocre it is. But I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to show you guys exactly what this deck can do in some replays, and without further ado, I'll see you after they're done. Alright guys, so those were the replays. As you could see, from some of the stuff like the Megalith one, I was still playing cards like Brainwashing Beam. It was one of my earlier builds, if I recall correctly, and again, I know a lot of them aren't like too up to date. I think my favorite one was definitely the Labyrinth one though. Yeah, it was pre-Lady, but it was such a good battle of attrition between two decks that can literally just keep recurring themselves over and over, and I think the only reason I might have won there was because of a mistake on the Labyrinth player's part, but regardless, I had a lot of fun in that matchup, and I have a lot of fun playing this deck in general, even if I don't like win a lot. So with those out of the way though, let's go ahead and go over some strengths of the deck. So as I mentioned before, Snake Rain and literally any normal summon or alien monster is a 2-card / 1.5 card combo into your entire A counter lock, which allows for the rest of your hand to either be extension or follow up through hand traps, or even hand traps of your own if you're playing more hand traps than I am. Speaking of the lock, the A counter lock can kind of just win you games if they don't have an out or if their deck like cares about the field at all. Not only will it prevent monster effects from being a threat on the board, but it also puts everything in defense, so they'll have a harder time beating over your Link 3 even if they can get a bunch of bodies out. Finally, reptiles are continuously just getting new cards all the time ever since Ogdoadic released, which is similar to a lot of the deck build pack typings that like rock and stuff that were underrated beforehand, so the deck will constantly be able to change and evolve over time and will only continue to get stronger. For every strength though, there is at least one weakness. An entire hand could potentially die to Ash Blossom if Snake Rain's your only play, guys. Like, if you literally only open Snake Rain and like a bunch of bricks or like no other starters, and they have a singular Ash Blossom, you're kind of screwed because you can't really do too much else. It's kind of like a one-trick pony almost. The large mash of reptile cards and engines, especially now with the Therians, could conflict with each other at times and lead to slightly clunky hands. One of the biggest problems is when I draw like Curse or Alert in hand and I literally cannot get them in grave at all, and so the entire combo gets screwed up, and then I draw like Alien Dog with no Alien Normal Summon, or like I basically just draw a bunch of stuff that I cannot use. Also, because they decided to make Zeral a Link 3 instead of just like a Synchro monster or something, it's literally almost impossible without the Ogdoadic cards to make in a dedicated alien deck. Trust me, I tried. I literally was playing Rescue Rabbit with like their original alien Shock Trooper, like, you know, what M-Frame is based off of. So like it isn't a problem like with the Ogdoadic cards, but it can lead to issues when trying to set up a resource loop. You need a total of 3 bodies for the Link summon on top of an alien specifically for Planet Pollutant Virus to get the lock going, and even then without the Ogdoadics, you might not even have enough follow-up to make it last if you make it without using the Ogdoadic cards. But speaking of, without the Planet Pollutant Virus, again, your end board is like not very strong at all. You might get a rank 8, and if you're really lucky, a rank 4 or an Ogdo Abyss, but that's really all about you'll be able to muster, given the limited of bodies that can hit the board at a time, and the lack of really good reptile extra deck end pieces. It's kind of like a similar situation to B Trooper, where B Trooper has a lot of insanely good like insect combo pieces in the main deck, but the extra deck just literally gives you almost no payoff. So with those out of the way, how are we going to make Alien better? So my biggest one is, again, give Alien a new Synchro monster. They have an insanely strong level 1 tuner, but only one level 5 Synchro monster that's only really good for going second, so a better Synchro option, particularly for going first, would be amazing. Honestly, I'm inclined to say Zeral should have just been a Synchro in the first place. Like, why a Link 3? They are meant to be a counter control deck, then they became a Synchro deck when Ammonite came out, and now they're just a really weird Link deck? Like, come on. I would also like greater consistency on the alien side of things other than the Ogdoadics, because considering the accept the turn this card was sent to the graveyard clause on recombination device, there's really no reliable rota for aliens as a whole, so even a simple spell that just searched an alien, maybe with some other effect as well, like, I don't know, place an A counter on the field by banishing it from grave or something, would be much appreciated for easy access to things like Ammonite and Overlord, which are some of the best starters and extenders in the deck. And finally, I'd propose just more native swarming to the alien archetype itself. The Ogdoadics are fantastic for sure, but the alien cards themselves are incredibly outdated, and all of the new support we get is more power and less ways to actually get to the power. As it stands, Ammonite, Dog, and Overlord are the main swarmer cards of the deck, with stuff like Rescue Rabbit being there just to get extra bodies on board. You can tell I made this script a little bit like sooner because I actually think I was still playing Rescue Rabbit. I think I just recently cut it. But I think the archetype could use some more simple swarmers, such as allowing to special summon itself if there's an A counter on the field, period, or even something just as generic as that. If they get another Synchro too, it'd be awesome to get a tuner that does this, by the way, because that would be really nice because Ammonite can only carry the deck so hard. But that is all I really think I have to say about the alien archetype for this Sleeper Sunday. I really like this deck. I always have ever since I discovered it from Team APS and from Rada, because it's just such a fun playstyle. Like, I love the artwork, I love the references to stuff like the Facehuggers and everything. Like, you can do so much with like alien sci-fi stuff, and I think the counter mechanic is actually really cool too. It kind of just takes what like Predator counters were supposed to do, and kind of, I mean, actually, okay, they do kind of the same thing. If you have a Dragostepeli and a Zoral, they're almost the same thing. But it seems to be like one of the only archetypes that actually heavily utilizes their counter system in a way that actually matters. I really want to see this deck succeed. I want to see more good reptile extra deck stuff that this deck can go into, and specifically, I just want more support for aliens in general, because I think if they got at least one more actual wave, similar to how, like, you know, Ghost Rick got like that whole extra wave, or how Ninja got that whole extra wave, I think if they got just one more wave with the Ogdoadic cards and all the generic reptile stuff we keep getting, I think it could be a really cool rogue contender. But I don't know, maybe that's just the bias in me talking. Let me know your opinion down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for this Sleeper Sunday. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as helps with this video and the channel into YouTube recommended. And if you want to see more content like this, like the rest of my Sleeper Sunday series, I make one every single month, then perhaps consider subscribing, because we hit 2,000 subscribers, guys. It is so awesome. We're already at like 2027, which is so cool. Let's see if we can try to hit 2,500 by the end of the year now that we hit our goal so soon. Not to mention, it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. It'll cost you absolutely nothing to support the channel directly. Remember, I will be posting a poll on my community tab with a few different deck options for what to use for the next episode, but they will only be up for up to a maximum of 24 hours, so be sure to pay attention to the community tab for when it goes up if you want a specific deck on the options to go in. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.